just want to go through some news and notes before we also dive into Miami, Indiana, because there actually was some huge news this week. We had been waiting on Dante Moore's NFL decision because it hit the deadline of everyone that's not playing the national championship game needed an answer. This is someone who is projected to go potentially as high as number 2 overall to the Jets, but top 5 pick. Last time out, when we saw him against Indiana, it was rough. It was really rough. Some of that was on him. Some of it was like his running back bumped into him and caused a fumble. Like there was a lot. But we came out of that being like, okay, well, he's got stuff to work on for sure. Is he going to? Like, if you have the opportunity for life-changing money and it's like a $45 million deal or whatever it is for the number 2 pick, a lot of guys take that. And we saw quarterbacks last year that would have had much higher draft stock come back to college, the Garrett Nussmeyers, the Drew Allers, the Cade Klubniks, and then that really fell off this year. So all of that was the backdrop to this decision for Dante Moore, and he decides he's coming back to Oregon. They're going to be spending a lot of money at the quarterback position because they just added Dylan Raiola to the roster as well earlier in the week. Now, we assume, of course, that they'd had conversations about like, well, if Dante comes back, if he goes, right? And I'd seen reporting that said that he's comfortable sitting, if Dante Moore was going to come back. And this is a program, Joshua, that has actually done this before. Like if you want to look for an example of 2 quarterbacks and including a backup quarterback with starting experience, they've done it. Dylan Gabriel into Dante Moore. Moore decided to go to Oregon knowing he wouldn't be the starter for a year. But it's still really interesting. It's going to be one of the major offseason storylines, especially just in general, that Oregon is going all in. National championship aspirations, of course, again, bringing back a bunch of their defensive stars. Evan Stewart's coming back. Like a bunch of guys are coming back for these Ducks. Were you surprised, though, that Dante was one of the guys coming back to Oregon?
No. And I feel like there are kind of like 3 angles on this thing. And the first angle is Dante Moore in his collegiate journey. He has valued his development over just about anything else. You mentioned the idea of going to sit behind Dylan Gabriel as a guy who started as a true freshman. And then he decides when he could be the number 2 overall pick. Some people had him number 1 on the big boards. And I don't think that having a bad game against Indiana was something that would have changed people's minds on that. But the idea that he could have gone number 2 overall and said, I'm going to come back is 100% regardless of NFL draft valuation, I need to get better as a player. And the best way for me to do that is to spend another year in college. I think the second thing is, which is really interesting to me, is this idea of making decisions regardless of what the draft stock is. You could make an argument that his draft stock won't be higher next year. You make an argument that he might not go number 1, might not go number 2 next year. But he's saying that for the longevity of his career, he needed to take that pause, really think about his decision, and ultimately come back to become a better player. I think that is really a unique thing that he's doing.